A few years ago, my roommate Michael went missing after losing his job, and to this day, no one knows what happened to him. We were both in our 20s, living in a small apartment. Michael had been laid off for about 2 months. He was applying to jobs constantly, but nothing was working out. I could tell it was getting to him. He barely ate, barely slept. He'd just sit at his laptop refreshing job sites over and over. One night, after dinner, he told me he had a phone interview the next morning. He actually seemed hopeful. Around 9 p.m., he said he was going for a short walk to clear his head. It wasn't unusual. He did that a lot when he was stressed, but that night, he never came back. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured he just stayed out late. But when I woke up the next morning and he still wasn't home, I knew something was wrong. His keys were still on the counter. His jacket was on the bed. But his wallet and phone were gone. I reported him missing that day. 3 days later, I got a call from a random guy who said he found a phone near a warehouse a few miles away. When I went there with the police, it was Michael's phone. There was a single voicemail on it, recorded the night he disappeared. When we played it, I got chills. It was Michael's voice whispering, "Help me." Then silence. That was the last trace of him. Weeks later, while going through his laptop, I found a draft email he never sent. The subject line just said, "Help." The body was completely empty. 6 months passed, his case went cold, but here's the part that still keeps me up at night. 2 weeks ago, I got a voicemail. It came from Michael's number, which had been disconnected for nearly a year. The message was the same as before, his voice whispering, "Help me." I don't know how it got there. I don't know who or what sent it. But I'm starting to think that wherever he ended up, he's still trying to reach out. And maybe he can't leave until someone finally listens. 2 years ago, I rented a room in a shared apartment from a woman named Clara. She was a quiet, freelance graphic designer who mostly kept to herself. We barely spoke, but she was always polite until she lost her biggest client. After that, something changed. She stopped going out, stopped eating with the rest of us. I'd pass her room and see her just sitting there staring at a blank sketch pad. No lights, no music, just silence. I figured she was depressed. We all thought she'd snap out of it. But one night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to humming, a soft, eerie tune coming from Clara's room. I listened for a few minutes, then went back to sleep. The next morning, her door was shut. That wasn't unusual, but by that night, it was still shut. The light hadn't been on all day. When we knocked, no answer. After 2 more days, the landlord let himself in. The room was empty, not like she packed up and left empty, more like she never existed, empty. Her clothes were gone, her laptop was gone, even her toothbrush was missing. The only thing left was her sketch pad, sitting on the bed. Every page was blank except the last one. It showed a tall, faceless figure drawn in heavy black ink, surrounded by scratchy, swarming lines. Below it, she had written, "I'm still here." We reported her missing. Cops couldn't find a trace of her. She had no close family, no real online presence, and no activity on her bank account after that night. A few weeks later, I was using the shared desktop computer in the living room when a pop-up appeared. It was a video file, untitled. I didn't open anything. It just launched on its own. The screen was black. Then I heard that humming again. Slowly, Clara's voice faded in, whispering, "I'm here." Then the video crashed and the computer shut off. None of us ever figured out where that file came from. The cops blamed malware. But sometimes, really late at night, I still hear the same tune outside my bedroom door, just soft humming, like a lullaby. And sometimes, I hum it back. Last summer, I took a one-night job at a roadside motel about 30 minutes outside my town. It was posted on Craigslist. Night shift, light cleaning, cash. I was broke and desperate, so I took it. The guy who hired me barely spoke. He handed me a key to room 1 and said, "Do your rounds. Don't go near room 11." That was it. I thought he was just being weird. The place was practically empty. old wallpaper, flickering lights, and maybe 4 cars in the lot. I walked the halls every hour like he asked. Everything was fine until around 2:30 a.m. That's when I passed room 11. The Do Not Disturb sign was crooked. The door was cracked open. I was sure it had been closed earlier. I stood there for a second. Then, without thinking, I pushed it open. There was no furniture, just a chair in the center of the room and a tape recorder sitting on it. It clicked on by itself. I heard a voice, slow and raspy. "Shift's not over." The room suddenly felt colder. I backed out and closed the door, heart racing. When I turned around, the hallway looked longer. The lights were dimmer. It felt wrong. I tried calling the front desk. No answer. Tried calling the motel's number. Disconnected. Then I looked back. Room 11's door was wide open again. I ran back to room 1, locked the door, and stayed there until morning. When I opened the door at sunrise, everything looked completely normal again, bright, quiet, almost peaceful. I went to the front desk to return the key, but the office was empty. No manager, no trace of anyone. I left the key on the counter and got the hell out. Later that day, I looked up the motel online. It had been shut down for over a year, condemned, no staff, no bookings. But I know what I saw. I stayed there. I spoke to someone. 2 nights later, I got a voicemail from an unknown number. It was just that same voice whispering, "Shift's not over." I deleted the message. But ever since, room 11 shows up in my dreams. Always half open, always waiting. And every time I try to shut the door, it swings open again.